They say dolls are just toys, lifeless figures stuffed with cotton and stitched with thread. But what if those tiny glass eyes were actually watching you? What if behind that porcelain smile, something ancient, something aware was waiting? Tonight, we open the dollhouse door and step into a world of poppets, spirits, and spellbound guardians. My guest is the internationally renowned psychic medium, witch, and haunted doll expert, Patti Negri. From tea parties with the dead to crafting magical poppets that breathe intention, she's lifting the veil on a world most fear to enter. So grab your salt, circle up, and don't blink. We're talking Dollcraft, a witch's guide to poppet magic and haunted dolls, right here on the very best in paranormal talk radio. I'm Dave Schrader, and this is my Paranormal 60.
I'm not gonna stand here and listen to this baloney. He won't float. He doesn't stand for baloney.
Sounds like a lot of supernatural baloney to me.
Supernatural, perhaps. Baloney, perhaps not.
Good evening, my darklings. Thank you for joining me here this evening. And when I was approached with this topic, I was like, yeah, let's talk about this. Because as many of you know from going to live events where I'm lucky enough to be invited as a speaker, many times people leave dolls with me because they don't want them and they want them out of their life. So I guess they think, you know what? Let's put this little bit of terror back into Dave Schrader's life. Let's just take this haunting little figurine and put it into Dave Schrader's world. And because of that, I now have a garage that needs to be covered in salt, blessed with oils, and anointed in holy water, mainly to keep the dolls safe from my kids. But that's another story. Tonight, we're going to talk about this brand new book, Patti Negri's Dollcraft. And joining us right here on the Paranormal 60, our good friend, Patti Negri. Good evening, Patti.
Good evening, Dave. Thanks so much for having me and my girls on. We are thrilled.
I'm always pleased to have you join, and I love talking with you about these things. And I want to start with a hard punch question right away.
Yeah.
Haunted dolls. Now, listen, they sell them on eBay, which automatically makes a lot of people skeptical, right?
Yeah.
They can be found anywhere, supposedly. The concept that a ghost is inhabiting a doll, that's heartbreaking to me. The concept that there's a ghost somehow like attached or stuck with this figure. I want to know,
Uh-huh.
is it really a ghost, a fully formed, realized, intelligent ghost of a former living being, or is it something else? Is it something like an inanimate object gaining sentience in a way?
Both or either. Yes, it is real ghosts inhabiting a doll. If you were in a disembodied spirit, say you were hanging around, you could be stuck, or maybe you're not stuck. You just like hanging around, and you want to have a vessel to be. You could go into a toaster, which has been done, or you could go into somebody's stapler, or you can go into something with eyes and a mouth and a face. What would you pick? A doll, of course. They have this whole body, just like even in magic and witchcraft. A lot of traditional British craft people, they don't put their familiars in their cats because cats can be picky. They put them in a skull or a doll. So you could look in those eyes. You could see things within those eyes. But most haunted dolls really have regular spirits. I think most of them aren't stuck if they are going into a thing. But the created ones, those are what poppets. That's what's half of my books. That's what we witches do. We put a spirit, we create a spirit, for love, for money, for health, for anything like that. And then it is like a vessel in itself for spellcrafting. And that's not a dead person that you bring in our spirit. It's a created spirit.
All right. Well, talk to me about that. What is a created spirit?
A created spirit is called a puppet. It looks like most people usually mistake them for voodoo dolls, but they're not really voodoo dolls. They usually look like they're cute. They're a little gingerbread looking thing. They could be made out of anything: clay, cotton, corn dollies, bread, eat them, water, anything like that. But there may, I in my book, I have ridiculous from paper napkin poppets, from everything else. But you put herbs in them and you put oils, and mostly you put intent, the spell crafting. Like I have one, it's my Patti doll. I'll get it at break. And it just looks like this. How it's me, it's because I have my little pentagram that I've had on for like 30 years. So that's my doll. It has my name on it. So say if I got a headache or I fell down and bumped my head, which is much more common, I will take this doll and I will send my headache to the doll. If it's really bad, I might stick a pin in my doll's headache and do a little acupuncture on it. And literally my headache goes away. It's like, it's a representation of you, or representation. Again, you could have people have them for health, for money, for protection. Do a nice protection and circle it with salt like you do. Circle it, put it in a nice safe box or something.
So when you say, you put a pin in it, like acupuncture, I think that's an important level, because a lot of people, their interpretations of voodoo and the magic come from Hollywood movies, which have bastardized the true intent and concept of this, right? When you have a voodoo doll, just so you know this, ladies, because I see those, my ex voodoo dolls, I see those things, and they come with all the needles in them. What you're actually doing is focusing on a point on them to heal. Yeah. So, hey, I think that's beautiful if that's the real intention you're putting behind it. Because if you're like, wow, I had to break up with this guy, he was so broken from his childhood, but I'm going to make this voodoo doll and put the pins in his heart and in his brain for clarity and healing. That's a beautiful thing. But we know that's what you're doing.
Isn't that a beautiful thing? It's all in your intention, as in every kind of magic. It's all in your intention. And yes, people are sitting there now throwing away their voodoo dolls, Dave. Thanks a lot.
Well, now they know how to use them, right? It's the intention. But we a lot of people don't realize that the pin is literally to pinpoint the center of what you want to focus your intention on. You've got a raging headache, you get out the Dave doll, you put it in between his eyes where the tension headache is, and you're focusing on funneling that energy into the doll, or you're focusing on sending healing. So if my friend Patti has a Dave doll and she knows I'm really racked in pain with my migraines this week, she can be focused on putting the needles in the head to try to focus to release that tension, to send good energy in. So it's really, they're actually meant like more of a healing modality rather than a darkness. But
Puppets are. And of course they could be, magic is magic. You can make them to give you a headache instead of take it away. It's your intention. Magic good, magic bad is magic. But in my belief system, you have to live in the world you create. So why would I create a world of sending out bad vibes? Because I believe what you put out, you get back. So why not send the healing vibes? And then I don't have a headache either. So it is an intention, but yeah, they're really powerful. It's amazing.
All right. Now the concept that there are spirits with a doll, do you believe that the spirit itself is inhabiting the doll, is like within looking out, or is it the ghost of Dave is there with his favorite doll?
That's
like
a good
side by side, as opposed to possessing it.
I don't think it's possessing it. I think it's the energy. I think the truth, again, is kind of halfway in the middle. It is in this vessel. It is sitting in that little thing, but it's not stuck there. The energy might fluddle up. All of a sudden you see it. Like I had this doll right there, Belle, for anybody watching, she's very haunted. The little one 2 over is not haunted, but she literally, I was teaching a class, both my hands here, nobody in the house, moved 6 inches in front of screen. Nobody did it. I'm like, she's not haunted. She's not haunted. I could tell haunted. I know haunted. But literally, I saw an orb fly from the other doll into the not haunted doll, move the not haunted doll, and then shoot back out. So they're not stuck in the doll.
Yeah, I had a doll that from time to time I've sold some of the quote unquote haunted dolls if we're trying to raise money for charity or doing things along those lines. But I never put the ones out there that have some kind of story attached to them that are like, oh yeah, everybody that owns this doll dies. Like those I keep literally wrapped in holy bubble wrap and leave them in the garage where they belong, right? But the ones that are, I had one that we just called her the little bully, because if you put her on a shelf with other dolls, a lot of times you'd come home and the other dolls would be on the ground broken, and she would still be sitting on the shelf by herself. So I thought, again, isn't that interesting? But when we're children, most of us are playing with these figures, right? I mean, as a boy, I had action figures, Patty. Okay, let's just call them what they were. I had cool action figures of the Lone Ranger and Tonto, of Batman, Spider-Man, Superman.
False.
But the amount of energy I put into them, playing with them, sometimes working through my own issues. I said I loved reading comic books because when I read Spider-Man comic books, I was Peter Parker. I could feel the wind on my face as I'm spinning webs through Manhattan and flying around. And when I play with my figures, my action figures, it was the same thing. There was a lot of aggression and tension because I'm a boy and beating each other up. But I often wonder how much of that tension are you releasing into the doll? Again, much like putting the pin in a voodoo doll, by the intention of focus of this big battle going on between the Joker and Batman, how much of what I'm putting out emotionally is haunting these dolls, so that someday those dolls will have an energetic effect that some people will consider ghosts, but really what they are is they're more of an emotional
Yes.
anchor. Is that right?
Yes, that is 100% also a way that they do it. Like I keep pointing to my doll Belle. She was, I think she has the spirit of a little girl who was ill, who had an ill life, and just put so much of her love into this doll. Not that I'm coming in to haunt this. It exactly what you were saying. Like somebody might get your old G.I. Joe one of these days when you're long gone, and Dave's going to come out all over the place. And it could just energy, like residual energy.
I had a haunting in Minnesota that I was called in on, and I try to be very compassionate and empathetic, and they had this old time doll, and it looked almost like the Cracker Jack the sailor, and I was like, oh, this is cool, and you could tell this doll had been well loved. I mean, there was hug marks on this thing. It was well loved, but there was this kind of strange energy around it that I couldn't pinpoint. So I sat down on the floor, crisscross legs, and started talking to the doll, and I'm running my recorder. And as I'm talking to the doll, I'm like, what's your name, honey? Are you Mary? Are you Patty? Are you Angie? Why are you with this doll? I play back my EVP and I get this very male little boy voice go, I'm a boy, asshole. I was like, oh geez, sorry, all right, it was a little sailor doll. I guess that was my fault for thinking that it would be a girl that would be playing with it, but you're right. But I just thought it was funny that this little 10-year-old boy voice just, I'm a boy, asshole, and put me in my place real fast.
That is funny. And it is probably harder to find good boy dolls, unless it is an action figure. It's so weird though. And I know an action figure can be haunted, but if I turn my camera around, I have hundreds of eyes staring at me, little bitty eyes. I'm a Barbie collector from birth. Not one of my Barbies has ever been a spirit. I haven't even tried to put a spirit because she's like a sacred goddess to me. So it's like, you're a goddess. You don't need to be a ghost. But I've never, ever had one haunted like that, but they could be.
Would you? Now, there are many people that attend public haunts that you and I go to, right? And we'll help lead some of these investigations. Yeah. And there are many people that will try to connect with the spirits of children, right?
Yes.
And I've watched lovely people, down on their knees talking to whatever little ghost they see, and you can come home with me. I've got children at my house. You don't have to stay in this old asylum. And part of me is wondering, is that a child you're talking to? And B, why would you just willy-nilly invite it into your home? Would that be something where if there's a report of this child's ghost, would you bring maybe a male doll? If it's a little boy's ghost that's seen, would you bring a male doll and offer it to the spirit and say, would you like to join with this? Because binding to me always sounds like it's forcible. It's something against their will. Explain that to me. Is that true or not?
Well, binding is something in sticking in. I call it inspiriting a doll. And I do teach people how to do that. Get a doll. If you can't find eBay, you do have to be suspect, because if one seller has had like 907 dolls with all these elaborate stories that they know everything about each one, it might not be haunted unless that person actually knew how to haunt a doll. And maybe she just put these spirits, created the story, and again, kind of like a hybrid created spirit. But I really do think you could find one in a thrift store, a secondhand store, or call in a spirit. I do not bind, because everything has to be optional by the spirit, but I call it inspiriting a doll. It can take a while finding a good disembodied spirit who wants to go into your doll, but you can. And yeah, that would be a great way. You're there and you want to take a spirit home, but you do have to be careful because, as you know, children ghosts aren't always children ghosts. They could be all sorts of other things.
Yeah, that you see, that's part of my career over the last 19 years is going from believing, children's spirits are walking the earth to friends like you that are mediumistic that have said, Dave, they may look like a child. A lot of people want to jump to something demonic or dark or evil, but you got to remember that child may have passed in 1888 from cholera, but that spirit may have been around for hundreds of years in many different forms. So the physical version you're seeing of it is its most recent incarnation, kind of like Doctor Who. It just looks this way, but it's centuries old. So the intelligence, the wherewithal is something else. So you don't have to feel that same pity as you would, and you're thinking it's a child. It's just poor little innocent soul. It may have lived 100 times over already.
Right, lifetime after lifetime. And again, it's a good chance it is not stuck. I think that spirits go where they know. I don't believe personally there's time and space on the other side. Since I was a kid and doing this, I think they could be in the pearly gates, if you believe in that, and reincarnated and watching the grandkids grow up. And if there's no time and space, which is hard for a little human brain, but I don't even know where I was going with that.
Well, as we're just, and this is a lot of heady conversation, right?
Yeah.
But with children's spirits, I wanted to just clarify, it's not always a child the way we pick.
Not always the way we see it. And I've seen people who died old, and they liked getting old. They liked becoming grandpa or grandma, and they'll show themselves as that. Some people, I hated getting old and I hated being they're going to show themselves back in their prime at 39 with their beehive bubble hairdo. They can. Oh, I know what I was saying is that I think people think that they're stuck when they're not. I can tell one that is really stuck. That's the one, go to the light Carol Ann or see whatever you have to do. Right. But even in some of the crazy prison yards and things, the kind of places we go, it's like, that's the life they knew. They're not being tortured now per se, unless something is torturing them. But it's you spend your life in the yard. Why not the afterlife?
Let me ask you a kind of a weird question here that'll kind of tie into animals and into the dolls. You talked about cats earlier and familiars, right? A lot of people know of a witch's familiar, usually something that they're connected to, some birds, cats, animals, right, of many different variations. I've heard that if you can get a cat to sit still long enough and look in its eyes, if there are ghosts, you'll see them reflected in the eyes of your cat. Now, I've tried. I have not come across a cat that will let me hold its head still for more than a half a second before I end up with nails clawing my arm or into my face. Is this just another old folks' tale or old wives' tale? Or do you think that there is something to the eyes that allow us to see the other side?
Well, the eyes are the windows to the soul. I have never tried that one, but I do have an exercise, not in this book, where you connect in with your cat or dog or any other critter. You literally get on their level, eye to eye, which is, again, not easy. You try to match up their breathing. And I have this little chant, my heart to your heart to mine. Between things, we see things through your eyes and mine. And you kind of do this breathing thing. And then you could sort of start thinking like a cat. And the cat starts it's a little bonding exercise.
Patti Negri, you just outed yourself as a Star Trek Vulcan nerd. I want you to know that my mind to your mind, my soul to your soul. Really? So you can connect to the animal to get that information or to share with them.
And windows are this. So I'm going to, next time I can try to hold my cat down and I'll wear thick padding. I will try to see, because I think that's probably true.
And then the same with dolls, right? The concept. And this is another one of those stories I've always wanted to talk to doll collectors, true doll collectors. They said that the reason that they started making dolls whose eyes would close, obviously, was to make them more realistic. I heard it was much like putting a veil over a mirror at night, and when somebody dies, it's so that spirits cannot enter or exit through the glass eyes. So they create the eyes to close, so when you lay them down at night, the vessel is not accessible.
I never heard that. I am learning so much about dolls from you right now, and I'm the expert book. No. But
Like I
no,
said, mine is hearsay. I don't know. That's why I'm asking you, the
and
expert
I
on
love
this.
that. But that would make sense because, like Belle, again, she's porcelain. She's 110 years old. The face doesn't really move, but people see her eyes move all the time. People can always tell her mood. Like 3 people walk in at a time. Belle's cranky today. Belle's cranky today. Belle's cranky today. And the next day, everybody like, Belle's sure in a good mood. And the next person, that porcelain face hasn't moved, but the energy within it has. So I think the same thing of the moving of the eyes or closing the eyes would make sense. Again, windows of the soul, every belief system,
Well, let's do this. We have to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk with Patti again. Her book is called Dollcraft, and it is a witch's guide to Poppet Magick and Haunted Dolls. We'll find out a little bit more about these stories and how do we protect ourselves? How can we use these puppets, these dolls, to protect us, protect our family, our homes, and more importantly, what can we do to make it an inviting situation for spirits that may be lost or forgotten? We'll talk about that when we return right here to your home for all things paranormal. This is the Paranormal 60.
Oh, are you reading me? Come in. Hello? Greetings from the shadow, and welcome to Shadowzine. My name is Jeff Belanger. I'm an author, podcaster, and explorer of the unexplained. For 30 years, I've been investigating the paranormal, UFOs, monsters, and things that bump in the night. Lately, you may have noticed how major TV networks and even social media networks have been pushing our favorite subject back into the shadows. I say good. That's why I launched Shadowzine, a monthly underground publication that covers your favorite topics in depth by some of the leading writers and researchers out there. If you're looking for 30-second TikTok clips, go somewhere else. If you're ready for a deeper dive, put down your phone and pick up Shadowzine. You can't find it in stores. This is old school print. Head to shadowzine.com and be part of the underground revolution. That's shadowzine.com, and I'll see you in the shadow.
Hey, Napanock, New York. I'm coming for you this weekend. I'll be at the Haunted Shanley Hotel at a very special event with my buddy Scotty the Medium. You see him featured here once a month with Sarah Lemos. It is April 25th and 26th, this Friday and Saturday, and they do have one room open for Friday night. And if you'd like to stay there at the Shanley, you can get your tickets. You can find out more about it and go. I'll get that information at darknessevents.com. Darknessevents.com. Come investigate. Gallery sessions, meet and greets, presentations, and did I mention free hugs? Oh, so many free hugs. So come on out and see us, darknessevents.com. Our guest, Patti Negri, we are talking about her new book, about magic, about haunted dolls. The concept, as I'm flipping through and looking at your book, is, the idea of protection too. People are always so worried about all the different elements of involving themselves in the paranormal, probably with good reason, right? We hear all the horror stories, all the bad things that happen, but how exactly can we use magic and dolls to protect ourselves, our family, our homes, our lives?
With like poppets, looking into the magical, you create the spirit within them. This is me. This is the one I will stick needles in if I have a headache. Has my name on it. This represents me. It's got some of my, I think some of my hair in it. Ooh, what everybody thinks is spooky. It's got a little coral piece for a heart in there. I even make them out of like paper. But if she is, it's not like on movies, like, what is that movie? Oh, Witches of Eastwick, when Jack Nicholson's arms
Right.
pull off when you pull off the doll. But these are super good for protection. So create something like that. Keep it in a safe place. Don't necessarily put it out in public. You can put salt around it. A cascarilla part or eggshell is super protective. But make a nice little shoebox or something. Here it is. Here, I'm protecting my kids, my grandkids when they go off to school. You fill the energy with it, and it really works. As far as haunted dolls, that's slightly different. They do get very protective, but they're not such high vibration as a rule, unless you bring in a nice enlightened spirit. They can be very possessive at times. They can be very self-centered at times. They don't have to live in our emotional world and our, relationship with other people world. So I don't think I would have Belle, my official safety keeper, because she might forget on certain days, but you still can. I think I would feel something if she felt something that she felt in danger.
All right, I have to ask you, you said eggshells are very protective. So, and I know this is going to sound like I'm being a smartass, Patty, and I don't mean it to be, but I'm wondering again when it comes to the intention, because I would say, I don't know how protective it is because I eat a couple eggs a day and it doesn't seem to keep them from getting into my stomach at some point. However, would that eggshell be less powerful as an eggshell where an actual chick chipped its way out of it, meaning that that was something that was a protective shell for its entirety of its birthing process? Would one be more powerful than the other?
What a good question. I have no idea. I
Always
want
agree with the host, Patty. Always agree with the host. Then we both come off looking good.
Yes, you are completely right. No, I think egg is like, it's new life. It's fertility. What,
Right.
in voodoo hoodoo, go back there. You rub eggs on you to cleanse. It's cleansing. The powder I use, salt can mess up carpeting and hardwood floors. Cascarilla powder, it literally looks like a soft talcum powder. It's non-toxic. I'm not going to bring a toxic thing when I'm clearing a house. You put it along windowsills. You put a little in your bath, cleanses your aura. So whether there was a chick that came to fruition or not, I would say it doesn't make a difference.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know. If I guess if you had a chicken farm and your chickens hatched and you go, maybe that would, I've got to find somebody with a chicken farm, go see if I can collect some already come to, what do you call that? A hatched chick.
Yeah, hatchlings. Yeah,
Hatched
hatchling eggs. Yeah.
and see if that's more powerful than I'm just hoping what I get, because I want everything love and light. It's like, they got the shells, they did something with the eggs, they put it in a milk carton for people who didn't want to shell them themselves, or they made some hard-boiled eggs or something, and everybody lives happily ever after.
Well, I was just saying, a couple days after Easter here, right now, we might just have all the protection we could possibly need.
Completely save you could have pretty cows if you colored your eggs, grind it up with your mortar and pestle, or throw it in your Cuisinart. It's amazing. Put some
Is
around,
that,
pop it, make a doll.
and again, I might be throwing you under the bus here with these questions. Is that why we put our eggshells into our coffee grounds when we make it? Are we imbuing ourselves with the power and the protection of the eggshell? Or is that just, again, some Depression era version of trying to flavor your coffee better?
Well, I think it would work. It would work better if it's your intention.
Hmm.
But it would work probably either way, because they're just kind of protection. I don't know what they're protecting you from on your coffee.
Well, I can think of a couple things that it would protect me from if I'm drinking coffee.
Okay, there you go. So I think it would. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Very cool. Again, just throwing things at you because you actually work in this realm.
I like it.
All right. So now talking about the concept of dolls and you imbuing them with these energies. So you imbue them.
Mhm.
You've created this ghost or this energy. Do you also have to release it or break it so that God forbid, when our time comes, Patty, that we don't leave behind a bunch of dolls that we've filled with created ghosts?
Right, right. So again, if we're talking puppets now, the creative kind of spirits, don't really call them ghosts, entities. Yes, there's lots of ways. If you create them, like why I do paper ones sometimes, I try to get as biodegradable as possible. You might have herbs in the head. Sometimes you bury them just from the beginning. You want them to grow in a sense. Maybe it's a money puppet and I'm going to literally plant it. You can make a puppet out of seeds. I'm going to plant it. A lot of times you burn it, just like we burn a lot of things in witchcraft. Make a little spell and you burn it, send it up to the heavens.
Mhm.
And when you're done with the top, say you didn't burn it and you didn't bury it and you didn't put it in the water to float around, be ecological with them. You take it apart. I say, if I was done with this little puppet, or I was done with this little puppet and I don't need it anymore, I did it for love and now I'm married and I'm happy. You literally take it all apart. You put the herbs out to natural, you properly dispose of everything and you take it apart. Some people believe you can reuse a puppet. I don't think you need to. I think you can, because I'm not artsy craftsy. As you can see, I'm like a drunken 6-year-old. But if you can't make them, you can buy them online now, like in Etsy.
Right.
But you do have to personalize. So they'll put like a little zipper, or you make your own little hole and stuff something that you want in it, like crystals or herbs or oils or fingernails.
Something that has to do with you.
Something that's called a tag lock. Something has to do with you. But again, if it's a love doll to bring you love, maybe it's going to be rose petals and lavender, and some rose quartz stones. If it's a money doll, it might be some rosemary and some dragon's blood and some other things. If it's a health doll, if it's a passion doll, you might make it bright red and do something like that.
Vicky Stone from the chat says, "What's the difference between a poppet and a poltergeist?"
Completely different. A poppet you have literally created. I want clarity, thinking, health, love. A poltergeist is loose energy that creates itself. I don't think it has a specific focus or an intent or a purpose. That's moving things around. Again, so often with young energy, post-puberty teenagers, when the poltergeist stuff happens, they have so much life force, and that life force doesn't know where to go. I can't see grabbing that kind of energy and trying to focus it into a poppet. A poppet would be more like, I am creating this here with your laser beam eyes.
See, that to me sounds like it'd be a much more dangerous point if you're taking this kind of chaotic energy of somebody that's a poltergeist agent or a poltergeist battery and trying to focus it into something else, that seems to me like then you're looking for kind of anarchy. You're creating maybe a less volatile Chucky.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't do that either, because it's chaos. And you tell it be good to let me sleep at night. No.
Yeah. Good luck with that, right? I've all the years I've had haunted dolls that have been given to me, I can count on maybe 3 fingers. That'll tell you how few something's actually happened around me. It's always interesting. Why do you think people believe their dolls are haunted? I've watched mediums like you take dolls and listen to people's stories, and then not you specifically, but they've turned to me and said there's nothing attached to this doll whatsoever. Do you think that they're just looking for a reason for the things going wrong in their life or the things that are frightening them, and they're trying to put it on? But then doesn't that, in a sense, because you're then putting the intention that this is the problem, doesn't that somehow create the problem?
It can, yes. And again, then you're putting yourself in victim mode, and when you're victim mode, then you can't fix it. If you're saying, okay, I allowed these to happen, and then you could take action and make things happen, just like in anything. But yes, oftentimes people are not haunted. They just want so bad either something to a thing, or they just want a haunted doll. I want it so badly. That's why I said, okay, if you really want it, create one. If you can't, go find one. Not that it's that easy or that fast, but you can. But a lot of people, there's just nothing there. That's why I also was very clear. It's like looking for, if your mood changes all the time, animals really go to it or really avoid it. There's a million little signs like that you could tell it really is haunted.
Now, how do we, the lay people, start to determine if this doll is really haunted, as opposed to we're putting our own fears on it, we're putting our own expectations on it?
Well, look for things like mood changes, things that are weirdly happening, moving around a little bit, hearing things, just like any haunted thing that we know. They hear stuff. When Belle was first here, my husband and I would be upstairs, nobody downstairs, and we'd hear literally sounded like little doll feet running around going, oh, this is weird. She had a negative spirit when I first got her. I would not let the sun set before I got it out. I knew there was a good spirit underneath. The girl who sent her to me had made her sick for 3 years, made her hair fall out, made her little girl's hair. I don't have enough hair to fall out. So I just banished that and did. But it's mood changes, because a negatively haunted doll is not fun. Nope. It can make you sick. It drains your energy at very least. It will cause arguing. And if you're looking at all this stuff, I had something in my house and I wasn't paying attention to it, because like you, people give me things. And this was from one of my friends and clients, a rock star actually. And I loved it. It was this weird looking kind of a statuey doll. And I was like, why am I avoiding going in my office? I love my little office. I would take my laptop upstairs. I'd go outside, I'd go anywhere. Why am I avoiding my office? And I will, oh, it's you. And it was this little thing. And I'm like, Oh, I don't want you in my house. I literally, just because we both know him, I called Zach. I go, Zach, I have this thing that's too haunted for me. I don't want this in my house. I don't want anything negative. And he goes, well, what is it? And I showed him a picture. Go, oh, that's a nail fetish hate dog. Yeah, I'll take it. So off to Vegas. And it's sitting there in the hallway next to something. And it started acting up that very night. But that's in a good place. Nobody sleeps there at night. It's very vetted in what you're going to get. People know what they're getting when they go there. But I don't want that in my house. And if you decide that emotions are the very first thing you're going to get, drained energy is the thing you're going to get.
All right, so maybe there is more to the haunted dolls I have, because I'm noticing that there are different things happening that maybe I don't have bleeding walls or screaming from my closet, but but again, I live in a house that's primarily female, lots of teenage and estrogen flying around in here. Not that I'm going to point the finger. I'm pointing the finger. I'm completely pointing the finger. But I'm just saying there's a lot of outrage raising teenage daughters. So
make
there
some
is that.
poppets for all of your family. Love and happy family. You can have a family art night.
That's pretty good. That's an interesting concept. Now, let's say, okay, so some people are like, I'm not artsy. You just showed your dolls and admitted you're not artsy. I think you compared yourself to a drunk 6-year-old in creating your poppet. You could go, like, to me, when my mom passed, one of the big things she loved were Precious Moments figurines. Right. And this last weekend, when I was at the store, at a thrift store, I saw this beautiful little figurine of a little child laying in a cloud. And at the bottom of it said, "You're in Jesus's hands now." And I thought, oh, wow, that really spoke to me, because, I lost a granddaughter earlier this year. So I just felt like I don't know. I felt called to it. So I brought it home, cleaned it up, put it on the shelf, and kind of named it that. So, could I just get figurines that already exist and kind of imbue them with, this reminds me of this kid, this reminds me of that kid, this reminds me of this, and give them that essence, if you will?
It's an essence. It's like an essence. Yes. It's not saying you're calling that spirit into it. You're not calling grandma or your grandchild or anything into that, but they're representations. Just like you have a statue of Christ, you have a statue of Buddha, you have a statue of your sacred cat, whatever that is, it is a representation and can soothe, can do whatever you need it to do.
Beautiful concepts, beautiful ideas, right? And just showing people, again, when you start talking witchcraft, and we're talking about Dollcraft and a witch's guide. Oh, Dave, read it, learn, because really it's about intention. It's about all the other things that we cover on the show. And it's about how to, take negativity, negative emotions, negative feelings, and give it away, or to imbue things with love and positivity to give to others. A very good friend of ours, Bill Chappell, who I know you know from Ghost Adventures, Bill did a really interesting experiment where he charged pennies. He charged a handful of pennies with the positivity of love, right? He literally imbued this electrosis machine, or whatever the heck it was called, with love being the intent. And then the other ones, it was sorrow. And he knew which pocket had which coin in it, and he'd hand it to, and he'd go, "What do you feel?" And he said he was astounded how many people would go, "Oh no, I just feel really good. I feel like," and he goes, "Is it because I just gave you money?" And they're like, "Bill, it was a penny, right? Let's not get carried away." And sometimes he'd hand them the other one, and they'd be like, "I feel a lot of sadness around this." And it's interesting to know that it didn't come from tragedy. He didn't dig it out of somebody's pocket laying in a ditch. He just set the intention and electrified them with those intentions to see a difference. So it's something that science looks into. It's something that we look into. And I've mentioned this before. If again, you're having a trouble wrapping your mind around this, folks, go look at the research they've done on ice. You fill a glass with ice and you speak to it with love. And then when you check the freezing, it's most times it's clear.
Yeah.
And the ones that I hate everything about my life, and rah, 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 you see it's all cracked inside and milky and just weird looking. And you realize that your energy can affect these sources.
And remember on that, we are 70% water. We are that water. It is the intent. I have a thing in my other book, Old World Magic for the Modern World. If I call it Dream School, put a glass of water, preferably a glass of water, if you want to talk to grandma in your sleep. But also you could charge it. Like If you have trouble sleeping, make it, this is insomnia water. Everything that keeps me awake instead goes into that water, whether it's muscle twitches or overactive brain. It goes into the water and you throw it out in the morning. Maybe if you have a pain or a chronic pain, this is my pain water. All my pain, instead of going into my knee or my head or my neck, goes into that. It really works. Sleep. We can charge water. This is witchcraft. This is magic. And now science does it too.
And folks, if you're uncomfortable using the term witchcraft, then call it wishcraft, right? You're wishing these things away. You're putting that intention there. It's an interesting deal when you talk about the water. If you feel pain at night, you have trouble, maybe take the mouthful of water, swish it around while thinking of the pain that you deal with, the mind chatter, the things, spit it back in the glass, leave it there. And then you've already set the intention. Everything that's coming out of me, I'm purging this negativity, and the rest can just go in there and drown as well while I'm sleeping. Right.
Exactly. And then you hope the cat doesn't drink it, but if they do, it's okay. Cause they always go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's brilliant. Yeah. Cause water is magic. And that's, you don't have to call it witchcraft, that you call it New Age. It's manifestation. It's prayer.
It's prayer. Right.
Mind, body, spirit. When you have mind, body, spirit, you have to believe it, because we know your intention is everything. Body, you got to get off the couch, take some action, make a doll, put the water. The spirit is the magic that makes it happen. Whether that's the water works on your emotion, whether that's the mugwort in your doll's head, whatever that is.
All right, we have to take our final break. We'll come back. We've got more with Patti Negri, more witchcraft, dolls, and poppets. We'll do that next right here on the Paranormal 60.
Are you feeling lost, stressed, wondering if Mercury is ruining your life again, or the universe is just ghosting you? Well, you're not alone. At Love and Lotus Tarot, I keep it real. No crystal balls, no woohoo, just honest, grounded guidance to help you navigate life's chaos. Whether you need clarity on love, career, or just anything that feels like a mess, I've got you. Here's something really cool. In between tarot sessions with me, I just put out this new journal book, your very own purge journal. Don't hang on to all that angst and all that stress and all that anger. Get rid of it. Whether it's valid or not, you still have that emotion just eating away at you. So purge them onto paper, scream it, shout it, get it out. They're available right now on Amazon. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description below. Or just visit me at lovelotustarot.com and purchase your purge journal there. Visit lovelotustarot.com to book a reading, check out some of the new merch, and find the insight you've been searching for. Because let's be honest, therapy is expensive and my cards are way cooler anyways. So head on over to lovelotustarot.com now and let's figure out this thing called life together. Did you know that radio just got a little extraterrestrial? That's right, Dave Schrader is back on radio with the Paranormal 360 every Sunday evening, 7 to 9 p.m. Central on WCCO AM 830, an Odyssey station. Just download the Odyssey app and look for the WCCO logo, follow the station, and listen live. That's the Paranormal 360 on WCCO AM 830, an Odyssey station.
And if you missed this past weekend shows, we did a favorite replay talking with Dakota Layden from Project Fear and with our buddy here, Doug Hychek from Monster Quest. So it was a weekend of fear and monsters. And remember, you can always go back and listen to the old shows. If you subscribe for free on Odyssey, AUDACY, you'll be able to look up Paranormal 360 and be able to listen and watch along with every program. Do me a favor. Please rate and review that show and the Paranormal 60 wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Patti Negri, our guest. As a matter of fact, Patti also has a show we should mention real quickly because I want people to know about it. And I've been a guest on your show. You're a guest on my show. Patti, how can people keep up with you and learn more about you and your insights?
Yes, my show is called The Witching Hour with Patti Negri. There's other ones out there, but this Witching Hour with Patti Negri, and it's audio everywhere, video on my YouTube, and you can get to everything from pattinegri.com. Get my legitimate social media. I've had like AI fakes me, legitimate social media and Witching Hour and all sorts of fun things. And if you like movies and witchy movies, we have this thing now called, we should have you guest on it sometime. It's called the Witches Movie Coven, where we rate movies from Wizard of Oz to like the bad movies of the 70s, the it's really fun. So that's live on YouTube. So
I'd love to. I'd love to. And we do have a link up for Patti and her website on today's program guide, so you can check it out there. We also have a link for her book. You can go pre-order the book, which will be coming out. What is it? The beginning of June? Is that right, Patti?
Week of June. It is out. Yes, you can pre-order it now. You can get there from my website as well, or Amazon or anywhere else. Pre-orders are taking, and yeah.
And here's why you want to pick up pre-orders too, folks. That really helps out authors, because the more pre-orders, then when it officially hits, the numbers go up nice for them, and it tracks and shows that people are interested in this kind of book and these kind of stories. So please make sure that you get a copy of the book, and when you read it, rate and review it. That's also super important. Let's keep digging as we're talking about dolls, Dollcraft, Poppet Magick, Haunted Dolls. One thing people seem to have a concern in is, what do you do if you have a haunted doll and I don't have a Dave Schrader or a Patti Negri or a Zach Baggins to give it to? Should I break it? Should I burn it? Should I drown it? You know, what are your concepts? And I will tell you, I have come upon many a doll in a lake, and it always breaks my heart because I don't know if some kid
drowning,
or if, you know, some parents driving over the bridge and says, "You're out," and throws that doll because of the demonic activity associated with it. But what is a good way to appropriately get rid of a haunted doll?
Appropriately is to like banish it or send it away. If it's negative, you just want to banish it. Like, again, that go to the light Carol Ann thing. I think it's best to work within your belief system. Again, if you have one, whatever that is, pray, go to Jesus, go to whatever, you work with science, you work with dragons, you work with angels, you're an angel person, work with that and just release it to the light. I work with a lot of herbs, and I work with a lot of oils, and I work with sound, because that's just how I work with all the different elements. I throwing it in a lake, I don't know what that's going to do. Just like people getting rid of a Ouija board or something, and it shows up again. You don't want to even fear that the doll's going to show up again. I don't think it will most of the time. That's a little bit TV. But I would actually release the spirit, send it to the light, and get rid of it. Like I said.
But what about free will, Patti? I mean, the concept is, if this thing wants to stay with the doll, how do I banish it? How do I send it to the light? I'm Dave Schrader. I'm not Jesus.
Okay, then what you do, if the doll won't leave, and again, I don't force things, though.
Right.
Then you go on eBay and you go, badly haunted doll. Know what you are getting. I would not say happily haunted doll. Again, you'll get a bigger dollar for it. No, not really. But I believe light beats dark. I just believe you bring a candle into a room, you bring in light. You see those dark, scary shadows everywhere, but you do. If something really wants to be evil, and maybe, and I've never had that you can't clear, but say it doesn't want to go to the light, it doesn't want to leave the little dolly, I would probably then maybe bury the doll or something, put it in a protective box. I would feel very guilty about it, though, strangely.
Right. Yeah. You feel that kind of, what if this is just, I'm always jumping all over. Right. What if it's misunderstood? What if it's lashing out because it's sad? Yeah. It's lonely. It's heartbroken. And you wrap it in barbed wire and dip it in pig's blood. You say, be gone, Satan. And this poor spirit's like, I just want to be held.
I know. I love you. I'm sorry. Yeah. No. And again, my one experience with a badly haunted doll, a girl had seen me actually with Peggy the doll, Zach's doll, that give 2 people heart attacks and made a bunch of people sick. So I'm doing a seance holding this little plastic can, not even that old. She was like from the 60s or something. She had seen me doing a seance with Zach, and she figured I could handle Belle, had made her sick for 3 years. The spirit in Belle was so strong. I had never done a Facebook Live. This was years ago now. Never done one. I'll do an unboxing, which I know there's those weird unboxing people, but 50,000 people
watching. No judging here, Patti.
No judging. No, but 50,000 people, not because this doll had such energy, but I just got so sick and felt so depressed and so sad. I'm like, I am not bringing this into my house. I called in a light. I did a banishing. I work with dragon energy. So I had my dragon surround, got rid of it, wouldn't let the cell. And then she drained energy for a long time. I used to keep the herb rue in her little composite hand for a long time because she would make people tired. But I knew there was a good little spirit in it and it came out. But if you're like, I'm not a medium, I'm not Dave, I can't. I, again, just surrounded in love, surrounded in light. If it needs to go away, it can. But I think, again, light beats dark. You could.
Does breaking it cause it to be released so that it does become a vengeful thing because now it's not bound to this toy?
I think it would. I think it would just piss it off that much more. I mean, if somebody was starting ripping my arm or burning, that sounds like, Salem. I wouldn't think that's a good way to do it. I would not.
That's why
Florida water, maybe, I don't know. Is it going to light on fire?
When I die, I want to imbue myself into one of those little toy xylophones. So when you're sleeping at night, you just keep hearing ding, 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 ding. You open the door and it's just slowly rolling down the hall. That will be my way of having fun. See, now that would terrify some people. To others, they'll go, "Oh, Dave."
Ever. Yeah, you'd get a high dollar on eBay, dude.
Yeah, I've got Dave Schrader's haunted xylophone. Be careful. Don't buy it, folks. You're going to want a certificate of authenticity if you get that. Yeah. Fun stuff. What made you decide, of all things, to put together a book on poppets and haunted dolls?
Because the poppet part is just to get my magic and positive, fun things you could do with into it. And I wanted to combine my spiritual, magical world and my paranormal world, which are the same, but so separated. And the haunted doll, why I had to do it is because, as you know, they've never been more popular. I know more people. I mean, in my dad's day and age, I couldn't have seen my dad having a doll collection, haunted or not. Now, almost every man I know, every woman I know has a haunted in our paranormal world. And there is a care and feeding to them. Again, you don't want something that drains your, whether it's negative or just drains your good or bad. You don't want to get ripped off on eBay. You don't want to. So I just thought there was a need for just a literal kind of how-to guide. If you want one of these, here's how to do it for your own good and for your own safety and everything else.
A lot of people are finding their way into psychic mediumship. They're and I say finding their way, they're learning to embrace it, into witchcraft. There are people that come to me that say, do you think I should mess around in the paranormal field? And I usually say, well, if you're questioning it, then no. Because if you have concerns, that can overrun things. I don't think you should be somebody that walks in a place of fear. But the term witch and witchcraft has almost become kitschy. It's become niche, and everybody's a witch now. Everybody's a medium and a psychic. Yeah. And I'm not trying to be dismissive. People identify in different ways and want to find their power. But can that be dangerous for people too, just by claiming things and then doing what you learned watching Practical Magic with Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman? Does that really teach us anything, or does it teach us the wrong things?
Well, that one isn't so bad, actually. Some of the stuff, I mean, they don't fly off the buildings and things, but there is some really bad ones out there. If you're drawn to something, I think that there is more interested in now because number one, times are scary. We know that. The world is scary. We're living in fear. Traditionally, they've always been scary, but now they're scary 24/7 in our face. Traditionally, people would go back to faith. They'll go back to church. They'll go back to temple. They go back to your faith because they're scared. What if we get blown up tomorrow by aliens or something? That's not holding up for everybody. So a lot of people are going New Age, or let's discovering witchcraft, which is, again, because that's so heart and intuition driven. So it's like, oh yeah, let's do this. Let's worship nature, or let's know right or wrong, not because somebody wrote it down, because we know right or wrong. And then there's still people that like, I don't want that witchcraft. I don't want that woo-woo New Age. I don't want religion, but I'm still scared if we don't get blown up by aliens tomorrow, and I want to know I'll be okay. They want to go on a ghost hunt. They want to become a paranormal investigator. So again, I don't want that other stuff, but I want to know that, and then usually if they go and they say, oh my God, it is real, then they'll backdoor their way into a belief system, their religion again, or a new spiritual path. Your spiritual path to me is just how you navigate. It's a roadmap. They're all right. They're all beautiful. They help you navigate.
This field of the paranormal is very strange. It's filled with possibilities. It's filled with real magic, but it's also filled with a lot of bitterness and anger and frustration and me first. And um, do you clash? Not necessarily you, but I mean, do you clash with other witches because their beliefs are this or that, or well, why is she on TV and I'm not? And do people try to cast negative spells your way or battle you, psychically because of jealousy? Is that a thing, or again, is that Hollywood
Witch
nonsense?
wars. They call that witch wars.
Yeah.
Humans are a flawed species. If anybody hasn't figured that out, between our insecurities and our needs and all of that goes together. And yes, it's hard to avoid. I don't care if you're quilters or witches or paranormal. Everybody has that. I do not engage in witch wars because, again, I don't want to live in that world. That's why I only do high vibration. I don't like good and bad, light and dark, high vibration magic because I want to live in that world. I would rather send you love than send you a hex, because if I send you a hex, now I live in a world and you could hex me. If I send you love, you're probably going to leave me alone and all will be well. But they do completely exist. So though I don't do negative magic, I have had to do protective magic. I've had to do blocking magic. Yeah, because humans are silly.
Yeah, they really are. And the way that you see people treat one another in this field, I just thought, boy, if you're actually trying to incorporate magic, real magic into something,
Yeah.
that's tragic, because I've seen the power of magic when people come together. And there's some really stunning cases and stories, the Cone of Power and other things where witches have come together and done amazing things. Why then, Patti, are we not seeing a coven uprising? Why are we not seeing powerful witches, male, female, come together, intend and focus to start changing things in a bigger, broader way? Or is it happening? We're just not told because we're not part of the coven.
Maybe we are. Again, and maybe we are. And again, in organized and not organized, individual on a one-on-one, one coven, one clan, one, whatever. But you do have to sort of be careful because, again, especially in the current climate, it's a little scary. It's a little scary to be left of center in a lot of ways. It's being vilified again. A lot of things are. So you do have to be careful. But I do believe there is a coming together, and I do believe it's going to leak into the world. Both everything for taking care of our humanity and taking care of our planet, which is much needed, and taking care of just coming from a place of love when we've got so much hate going on right now. We have to. Everybody, I want hold hands, kumbaya, everybody. I don't care what you call yourself.
Just do good, right?
Do
Try
good. And what you
invite
put
light.
back, whether you call that karma, why you call it the witches 3, what you put out, you get back 3 times, whatever you want to call it, what you put out is the world you live in and what you get back. So
And it is true that what you put out comes back to you in 3s, because I put out all the hair on my head and now it comes out of my nose and my ears and my chest. So see, power of 3 is powerful.
3.
Patti, thank you so much for joining us and sharing some of these insights and telling us these stories. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. You're great.
Check out Patti's website. Her link and information about her book is all on today's program guide. They may be small in size, but never underestimate the power or peril of a doll, or intention for that matter. Patti Negri has shown us that these aren't just relics of childhood. They can be vessels, tools, and sometimes even companions to the spirit realm. So whether you're crafting your own poppet, facing down a haunted heirloom, or just trying to keep Robert the doll from cursing your weekend plans, remember this: the eyes may be glass, but the presence is very real. Stay curious, stay protected, and next time you pass a doll on a shelf, maybe say hello. It might just say something back. And may the darkness of this world be just a little brighter with the information that we share here. Until Wednesday, my darklings, thank you for tuning in to the Paranormal 60.